What's the best way to get rid of lice? Easy, eat them like a snack. Sounds disgusting, right? But in ancient China, that was just another day in the life of an ordinary person. If lice were crawling in your hair and biting your skin, no problem. Just pluck them off and pop them in your mouth like a crunchy snack. Welcome to the shockingly weird and wild world of hygiene in ancient China, where urine was deodorant, poop was medicine, and your bathwater might be spiced like soup. In this episode, we're diving nose first into the strange, stinky, and surprisingly clever ways people tried to stay clean in ancient China. In ancient China, how you smelled mattered a lot. A bad odor wasn't just gross. It meant you were uncultured or even barbaric. And since the Chinese elite saw themselves as refined and clean, smelling like body odor was not an option. Especially with the Mongols known for skipping bath time, constantly threatening from the north, cleanliness became a symbol of civilization. The Chinese even built a giant wall. Yes, the Great Wall, to keep the Mongols out. But inside their own homes, they had to fight something else, their own stink. Here's the catch. Many people believe that bathing every day can make you sick. This idea started in the colder parts of the country where touching cold water in winter was seen as dangerous. Over time, this caution turned into a strong superstition backed by Taoist beliefs. The solution? A rule that everyone must bathe at least once every 5 days. Not exactly squeaky clean, but better than never. Forget flushing. In ancient China, human poop wasn't garbage. It was liquid gold. They saw waste not as a problem, but as a precious resource, pioneering radical recycling and medical breakthroughs, centuries ahead of their time. Imagine this. You're a farmer centuries ago. Instead of a fancy outhouse, your toilet is a simple hole in the floor, built directly above the pig pen. Yep, what went down from humans, plummeted straight into the pig trough below. Why? Because pigs would eat it up. A free constant food source for the pigs. An instant waste disposal. Talk about a closed loop system. But the story gets even richer when cities boomed. Human waste known as night soil became hot property, the ultimate super fertilizer. Picture this. Rural farmers making dedicated trips into bustling towns, buckets in hand to collect this prized muck from public toilets. They'd brave the eye-watering stench, haul it back home, carefully process it, and spread it on their fields. This wasn't just casual recycling. It was a vital, thriving trade that fueled China's incredible agricultural productivity for generations. That night soil packed a serious nutrient punch, growing the crops that fed an empire. Think that's wild? Hold on to your lunch? Ancient Chinese doctors cooked up a truly stomach-turning remedy for severe diarrhea. Yellow soup, hang long tang. They took fermented poop from a healthy person and made the sick patient drink it. Believe it or not, this wasn't medieval madness. It often worked wonders. Why? Because that fermented soup was teeming with beneficial bacteria from the healthy donor. It essentially rebooted the patient's ravaged gut, fighting off the bad bugs causing the illness. And here's the jaw dropper. This exact ancient poop drinking practice is cutting-edge medicine today. Modern doctors use fecal microbiota transplants, FMT, carefully transferring processed stool from healthy donors to patients to cure deadly antibiotic-resistant infections like CIFF. It turns out those yellow soup physicians, centuries ago, stumbled onto a profound truth about the power of gut. Bacteria, gross, undeniably. Genius, absolutely. Urine wasn't wasted either. Besides being rubbed into armpits, it was used to preserve eggs, make medicine, and even acted as a kind of perfume. Ancient Chinese believed urine had strong cleansing powers. And then came one of the greatest inventions in human history. Toilet paper was born in China around 1,400 years ago. The Chinese created the first soft sheets made for wiping your butt. Before that, people used leaves, sticks, rags, or whatever was nearby. But even toilet paper came with problems. Since there wasn't a good way to throw it out, used sheets were often left in massive piles, building up into stinky mountains of dirty paper. One Arabic traveler even wrote about it in his journal, shocked at how high those piles could get. So next time you grab a soft, fresh roll, remember we owe China for saving our behinds from sticks and leaves. But maybe also thank modern plumbing for saving us from stinky paper mountains. The wealthier you were, the better you smelled. Nobles and rich folks spent a big chunk of their money on what they called clothing and herring subsidy. Basically, they had a budget just for staying fresh. Women from high status, families tied scented pouches around their waists to hide any body odor. These bags were filled with herbs, flowers, and spices. And when they took baths, they didn't just use water. Their baths often decorated with paintings of landscapes, animals, and symbols. The Jiangsu province became famous for making the best combs in the entire empire, earning the name Home of Combs. To wash their hair, people used rice water packed with starch, vitamins, and protein to make their hair shine and remove oil. Another popular cleaner was Chinese honey locust, which acted as both a shampoo and a face wash. In ancient China, bad breath was a big no-no, especially around the emperor. If you had to enter his presence, you'd better suck on a clove first or risk serious embarrassment. But how did they brush their teeth? First, they chewed on willow sticks until one end became soft and hairy, turning it into a DI teeth brush. Later, someone had the genius idea to poke holes into one end of a stick and insert horsehair. And voila, the first real toothbrush was born. The rich used soft horsehair, while the poor used rough pig bristles, cheaper but harder on the gums. To clean their teeth even better, they used homemade tooth powder made from tea leaves, salt, vinegar, and even powdered mushrooms and fungi. It wasn't mini fresh, but it did the job. In ancient China, the natural cycle of a woman's body was not just misunderstood. It was feared, silenced, and hidden like a curse. Menstruation wasn't seen as a normal biological process. It was considered unclean, shameful, even dangerous. Women couldn't speak openly about their periods. Not to their fathers, not to their husbands, sometimes not even to their mothers. Blood meant impurity, and impurity meant disgrace. But the blood still came every month like clockwork. So how did they deal with it? They suffered in silence. There were no pads, no tampons, no running water. Most women, especially peasants, used scraps of old cloth if they could afford it. These rags were often unwashed, reused, and shared between female family members. There was no soap, no disinfectant, and no privacy. Just blood-soaked rags hidden under layers of clothing. Wealthier women, like those in noble families or the emperor's harem, sometimes had access to silk cloths or herbal remedies. But even they were not safe from infection. There were no antibiotics, no understanding of bacteria. Many women suffered from chronic rashes, infections, or even fatal illnesses from poor menstrual hygiene, and the rules horrifying. During their period, women were often banned from religious temples. It was believed they would anger the gods. In some regions, a menstruating woman couldn't cook for her family, touch holy objects, or even enter certain rooms in the house. In the royal court, concubines in the forbiddens, city had to report their menstrual cycles to eunuchs and officials. Their bodies were tracked like property, only to be called upon for service when they were clean again. Some concubines, desperate to please the emperor and avoid dismissal, lied about their bleeding or used herbs to delay it, damaging their health just to stay useful. The shame went so deep that many girls weren't even told what a period was until it happened. Imagine that 13-year-old girl bleeding for the first time, thinking she was dying because no one dared explain the truth. Could you survive ancient China's bathroom habits? From toothbrushes made of sticks and hair to scented baths with flower petals to eating lice and drinking poop. Let us know in the comments what historical hygiene you'd like to hear about next. Because trust us, there's a whole lot more where this came.